For 5 years, my 30-year-old ex-wife and I, a 32-year-old man, were wed. I found out she had been cheating on me for almost a year with several different men, which led to the end of our marriage. When she became pregnant, she admitted that she wasn't sure if the child was my or one of her affair partners. I had attempted, but failed, to get in touch with her a few months after the divorce to find out if the baby was mine. I found out via a friend that she took a new partner who had departed the nation. 2 years ago, I believed that to be the end of it. Jane recently contacted my mother, saying her child is mine and that she needs money. Jane informed my mother that her lover broke up with her after learning the child wasn't really his. To put things in perspective, my older brother is gay and childless, and I haven't had a partner since my divorce, so my mother has been incredibly desirous of having grandchildren. She hasn't stopped hounding me to lend a hand to Jane, but I have some reservations. Her infidelity makes it difficult for me to believe her story in the absence of irrefutable proof. Therefore, I've demanded a paternity test be conducted before offering any monetary or emotional assistance. I would be happy to take on the role of father if the child is indeed mine, but I won't do so until I have the necessary legal papers. Both Jane and my mother are fiercely opposed to hiring solicitors or going through the legal system. They claim the child is mine because of physical similarities, such as the fact that I have blue eyes. The child's eyes are blue as well. The matter escalated when my mother shared a photo of herself and a child on Facebook with the caption, "My grandson." Now that they are aware of the problem, friends and relatives are getting in touch with me. They label me self-centered and careless when I tell them I want to get a paternity test done since I'm not sure whether the child is mine. According to my relatives, my mother will only make such statements since she is certain that the child is mine. My friends call me a jerk for disciplining the child for the actions of my former spouse. There's a possibility that the child is mine, but I can't get rid of my suspicions, and I won't allow myself to be coerced into taking care of a child who might not be mine. I want to do the right thing, but not until I'm certain. However, the fact that so many people close to me are telling me to just accept responsibility is driving me insane. The only person who supports me is my older brother, and he believes that because my mother has welcomed the child, others will follow suit. Family ties also play a significant role in this. However, I'm not changing my mind about doing a paternity test. This brings us to the update. Thus, a great deal has transpired, and I'm worn out from tackling this problem. I tried to argue with my mother, but I didn't go very far. I was able to speak with our aunt, who supports me with my brother. Upon discovering the events, she successfully persuaded my mother to have a conversation with me. We decided to meet at her residence. But it soon turned into a fight, with my mother continuing to believe the child is mine and calling my brother and myself traitors for not having given her grandchildren. At last, my brother lost his cool and asked her if she would be okay losing 2 boys because of this. She became silent after that. We persuaded her to speak with Jane for the paternity test with the assistance of my aunt. Aunt called me a few hours after I departed, asking me to set up the test. My aunt claims that Mom and Jane had to argue a bit before Jane consented to take the test, but she did. I made an appointment for a test at a clinic, and the earliest time slot I could find was 3 days later. I told my mother about everything, and they gave their approval. My brother and I received a call from our aunt the day before the test, asking us to come to our mother's house right away. Our mother was sobbing while sitting on a sofa when we arrived. She responded that Jane had left when I asked what had happened. I was aware that Jane had returned to the United States and was spending each day with my mother, but I was unaware that my mother was the one who made it all possible. After Jane contacted her, my mother informed me. She flew Jane and the baby out and placed them in a flat close to her home. She had been paying Jane's rent and purchasing items for her and the baby for a month and a half before they notified me. My mother never informed me that we spoke on the phone 4 or 5 times a week, even though we just live an hour apart. Jane asked for money after she agreed to the test, telling my mother that she would need to acquire a few necessities since she planned to stay close after the test proved I was the father. My mother gave her about $8,000. She did not visit my mother after receiving the money. My mother went to check on the flat and discovered it was unoccupied. She claimed that all of her friends are grandparents and that they are constantly with her grandchildren, so she feels left out when she is with them. I questioned her why she had ever trusted someone who had lied to me so much. She then stands up and claims that she is to blame for everything. She approaches me, smacks me, and then loses control, sobbing and screaming and beating me repeatedly. My brother and aunt were able to remove her from me. She continued to call me a terrible son. I ought to have taken a baby as my own. She then turned to face my brother and began berating him as well, calling him out for allegedly forcing his child-free lifestyle on me and telling him it embarrassed her. Then she went on a tirade, accusing Jane of being right to cheat on me and claiming that this would not have happened if I had consented to have a family with Jane at the time. For background, Jane expressed a desire to try for a child in our second year of marriage, but I had to put that on hold in order to make a significant professional transition. Instead, Jane and I decided to wait until I was financially stable. Furthermore, I would like to clarify that this was not her justification for her adultery with me. My aunt requested us to leave after she was able to defuse the situation and calm my mother down. She promised to make an effort to reason with her. The following day, I attempted to contact my mother, but she had blocked me on all platforms. She needs therapy, my brother and I agree, but she won't talk to or listen to us. Regarding Jane, I wanted to find her because I am so angry with her. I told my pals what had happened and asked for their assistance. Despite being morons, they came clean to me and have been there for me these past few days. I reached out to a number of people through friends and mutual acquaintances until CLA, a bridesmaid of Jane's at our wedding, introduced me to her. She was astonished to hear what had transpired when I informed her. CLA claims that Jane, who is back in the country with her partner, called her and a few other people a few days ago and asked for money since she and her spouse were having financial difficulties. Claire claims not to know if Jane and her lover are no longer together. She had never heard anything like it from Jane. She claimed that during their conversation, Jane solely mentioned their difficulties. I informed CLA of Jane's actions and her insistence that her boy belonged to me. Jane, according to Claire, informed her that the child was her current partner's from 2 years ago. Then she added that in order to find out what was going on, she needed to speak with Jane and her partner. Claire insisted that she would ask around even though she genuinely had no idea what was going on. I tried to phone Claire 6 days ago, but she didn't pick up. Right now, I will no longer be pursuing this. That's the update. It's not the ending I was hoping for, but I've got my answers. My brother is currently on vacation, and my mother hasn't spoken to me in a while. I urged my aunt to inform my mother that my brother and I will also cut off communication with her forever if she doesn't want to talk to us or seek assistance. According to famous people, I'm to blame for not getting married or starting a family. I told them to forget about me and to get lost. I now firmly think that the baby is not mine. My brother and I simply put up with them because they were my mother's. It's your mom's fault that she fell for this trick. She's an idiot. She treats you and your brother like horrible people as well. What makes you allow her to be in your life? The infant is obviously not his. If it was, she would have taken a DNA test. She most likely has one that features her partner's father. I'm not sure why you would even think about talking to your mother ever again. She should have lost all that money for being so naughty and doing all that behind your back. She needs to pay for her impatience, or you'll have to pay to get her out of jail. I'm shocked that she hit you. That's right. Jane's only concern is making money. Your mother would never have fell for Jane's trap if you had gotten married again and had children. It's what your family is attempting to convey, and there are a lot of problems with it. I'm sorry you had to experience this. Jane was trying to drop the child somewhere, and she was simply here for the manor. Let's just say you were lucky to avoid a gunshot there. It sounds like trying to co-parent with Jane would have been a disaster. Too bad your mother isn't aware of that. I hope she gets support and understands that she lost 2 boys and is now without grandchildren. Bravo to your brother for standing by you. She doesn't care. It's not that she doesn't see. As long as she has a grandchild to keep as a pet, she doesn't give a damn how much suffering her children go through. This is unfair. Every friend of hers has a pet grandchild. Those unappreciative sons. Jane and your mom both sound like wild, crazy people. Farewell to the 2 of them. That's right. I wouldn't be phoning my mother if she had abused me in this manner. Final narrative. Is it ridiculous of me to be offended that a wife went on a trip with a male coworker? Considering everything, my wife and I have been married for 6 years and are generally happy. I'm constantly on the road because I work in sales. She is employed by an elementary school as a teacher assistant. She works for a male teacher. 2 employees of the church my wife works with purchased tickets for an out-of-town performance at a beach a few months ago. They were supposed to spend the night and return home in the morning. If it weren't for my professional travels, I probably would have joined. 2 of her female coworkers became ill today and were unable to make the trip at short notice. There were no hotel or concert ticket refunds available. My wife felt uncomfortable going alone with her male coworker, but in the end, they went. Since she had several rooms reserved, I felt a little better and gave her my trust. Since she works as his teacher assistant and he is essentially her supervisor, I felt less at ease around him. Nothing special, just a couple instances where I've noticed him glancing a little too intently at my wife's chest. Guys should tease her post because she has 36 double DS. He is in amazing shape and competes in CrossFit on his side. He seems overly cordial and almost flirtatious with my wife at times. So, the night of the concert, I'm traveling alone in a hotel room when my thoughts take over. I switched on to look for my phone. I realized that my wife's phone is in the hotel instead at the performance site. Her phone never moved for the entire evening that I checked, even though she was supposed to be at a concert. That evening, she never answered my calls or texts either. It wasn't until midday the following day that she texted me to let me know she was leaving for home. She stated they opted to go spend some time on the beach instead of her initial intention of returning home first thing in the morning. That morning, I had checked her phone one more, and it had remained inside the hotel. That night, I challenged her about the phone position when I arrived home. She became really irate and demanded to know why I was snooping on her. Ultimately, she explained that she didn't want to lose it or drop it at the beach, so she left it in the room the following morning after forgetting it at the hotel when they went to the performance. Everything about it felt strange. Am I the weird one? Or is my suspicion warranted? Now for the most popular comments. I see now that 2 in a row is questionable. Not the bastard. She got married. Thus she shouldn't be putting herself in precarious circumstances. It's improbable that your wife's boss obtained a separate room from her, and the coworkers were probably never going anyhow. He's standing in front of you, staring at your wife's chest. That's right. I'm a happy guy. Several of my closest acquaintances are women. I would never place myself in such a predicament. She's lying to you at best. You are aware of your wife's reality. Don't wait to demonstrate your knowledge. Not the bastard. Hers is not digital, as are most concert tickets these days. It seems reckless, at best, that she would bring a coworker to a new town without bringing her phone. Did she bring everything she needed to go to the beach? Had it been an impromptu plan, she would not have been ready for a beach day. This is just too many coincidences. Since I was also out of town, I had no idea what she had packed. The following week, while doing laundry, I spotted a sluggish red thong that I had never seen before, but I kept quiet. I didn't bring it up because it could have been something I had never noticed before. Yes, I apologize. I believe this is a problem for you. Do you think coincidences happen? It so happens that she and another man are traveling together. You locate this red thong after she conveniently leaves her phone behind in her hotel room. Hey, you're acting like a CED. Could you verify the veracity of the other 2's illness and inability to attend? Could you also confirm the number of rooms that were reserved? Lastly, could you confirm that the tickets were purchased and whether or not they were electronic? She doesn't seem to have told the truth. Lastly, why didn't she call you the moment she picked up her phone again, either in the morning or after the concert? There's a guy in a hotel, he doesn't answer her phone, the phone doesn't change locations, and there's a red thong. She's not a hole. She's forest treats. I would also be wary. Sadly, it seems that you raised too early. She will therefore now be especially watchful in case she is having an affair. The wisest course of action, in my opinion, is to make a mental note of everything and then, pretend you forgot about it or whatever. She has given you cause to distrust her, but this might give her the confidence to do something foolish like what you just did. The thong is really dubious as well. I sincerely hope this is all a big misunderstanding and she isn't having an affair. You must watch out for yourself and take care of yourself no matter what. Remember that. Thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it. It's not good if she exploded at you. I feel like she complains about things too much.